Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? The Devils fall 3-0 to the Dallas Stars. This is their second straight regulation loss at the Prudential Center, something they did not do to start the season at all. The Devils are 16-10-1 officially on the season. They are officially in a wild card spot, and they are 4-6-0 without Jack Hughes in the lineup. Not a great night for the Devils, but I can't talk about any of this until I know that we are live. So somebody tell me in the chat below. I believe we are. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to us here on Speaking of the Devils. I'm your host, Ryan Novozinsky, joining you from my hotel room in Boston, Massachusetts, because I am doing some very fun things tomorrow. I'm going to be talking to Jay Pandolfo and Mikhail Yegorov, Big Mike, as it is on the at Boston University. So I had to come up here a little bit early. That's why I'm not at the game tonight. So apologies there, but had to get the stream up anyway. Before we get into any of this, guys, tonight, before we dive into that stinker for the Devils, let's thank our friends over there at New Spine for sponsoring Speaking of the Devils with 7 locations. They are New Jersey's leading institute for minimally invasive spine surgery. Live your best life pain-free. Visit New Spine. That's nu-spine.com to find a location near you. Once again, I'm going to repeat that. It's nu-spine.com. You can see it right above here, nu-spine.com. They are great. So we love New Spine. Thank you to them for sponsoring our video. I don't know where else to start other than to say the Devils are just not a good team right now. The blue line is all out of sorts. They constantly look lost in coverage. Bottom 6 is non-existent again. Goalies have no synergy. I'm not blaming this one on Markstrom, but the goalies just as a whole have not had any synergy all season. And I think the biggest problem of all is that these are the same exact problems that have been plaguing the New Jersey Devils for years. They have been plaguing the Devils for years. The Jack Hughes injury is highlighting all of these woes in a pretty, intense kind of way. And look no further than this graphic that MSG posted tonight to paint that picture. I'm going to post this right now. Second periods, NHL ranks with and without Jack Hughes. This is per MSG Networks, and Mike Morial was the one that tweeted this. Rush chances with Jack Hughes, second. Oh, and without him, they dip down to 30th. Ozone entries without ozone entries with scoring chance with Jack Hughes, second. Without him, 32nd. Slot chances, third with Jack Hughes. Without him, 27th. And goals for, fifth. Without him, 29th. That is horrifying. That is horrifying. We all know that the Jack Hughes injury is highlighting these issues, a lot of these issues for the Devils, but at some point, you got to make a change. At some point, it's time for Fitzgerald to do something. It's time for Fitzgerald to wake up. I don't know who that move is. I personally would like to be someone down the middle a little bit. Someone that we talked about last time, a center that could be a third line center, but also bump up to second line if need be. Because right now this is just not it. This is just not it right now. That depth down the middle is brutal. The bottom 6 is all out of whack. And that's been a trend for years and years and years for this Devils team. This was something that Fitzgerald, this was supposed to be his big offseason project, was fixing that. It looked good at the beginning, and now it's just not. And I see a comment already here from Beachmaster that says we need finishers. I would agree with that too there, Beachmaster. Another point of concern on this team is that you don't have a scoring wing up there in the top 6. You don't have a scoring wing up there in the top 6. A threat that when Jack is healthy can be there with him. Obviously, he's not right now, but you need more finishers. It can't just be Timo Meier, sheltering the load each time, shouldering the load each time, and Nico Hischier doing it. Some of these other scorers have to do something, because it's just getting ridiculous out there. The Devils have a lot of issues right now. Guys, let's go goal by goal. Let's kind of go period by period. I guess that first was kind of quiet. So we don't have to start there necessarily. Although I do have to give these two guys a shout out. Lamico and Luke Glendening, created two dangerous chances late in the first of a little mini break. Ottinger stopped them both, but that fourth line has been brutal to the point where you even see fans clamoring for the Devils to claim Kevin Rooney, old friend Kevin Rooney, on waivers there, because it would definitely be a marginal, at least a marginal improvement there. But good to see that fourth line generate some decent chances there in the first. So you got to give them a shout out because we do rip them a lot. Period two, this is when the barrage kind of started. I actually thought that the Devils really started well in this second period. Generate some great net front chances, great chances in front of Ottinger. So yeah, I guess net front chances, but not necessarily net front. But just some good prime chances off the rush and creating chances in there in the ozone. And then, that was before the power play happened. And then that power play happened, and, you just saw the strength of that Dallas penalty kill, which has killed off 19 of 19 penalties in the past 5 games alone. That's insane. The Stars, they got their goals at a time where they only had two or three shots. Yeah, 3 shots in the first 11 minutes, first 12 minutes of that second period. The Stars only had 3 shots, and one of them was the Heiskanen goal. We'll start there. Broken play at first, but the Devils were just never able to recover. They failed to cover Heiskanen, and it was just that one of the most boneheaded mistakes you'll see. You see Siegenthaler screening the goal. You see Siegenthaler screening Markstrom. It was a textbook screen from him. Do that on the other end, dude. Do that on the other end. Horrible, horrible, horrible. And not a good season from Siegenthaler thus far. Let's move on. There was some other ugly chances. I know Robertson scored his 17th of the season there and later in the second, but I thought another ugly chance too was there was another big breakaway from Dallas. They bobbled the puck pretty bad, but when the Cholowski-Nemitz pair was on, just bad. And I think this was about the time where you started to see Dallas step on the Devils' neck a little bit. Devils were awesome to start the period, generated a ton of offensive pressure, and then it whittled away right before our very eyes. Third period happens, and you just, you got the Rantanen goal to round it out. Rantanen just pounced on a rebound chance, potted it. 3-0 Stars. The Devils are a mess right now. Some bright spots, I guess, here and there. Gritsuk, nice job working the walls there in the third, drawing a penalty on Ben in the third, pretty big. Devils weren't able to do anything with it. I think no play sums up this Devils team right now better than the Devils finally get, one decent chance on that power play, which looked so weak there at the end of the game. And of course, Shimon Nemitz breaks his stick on the shot. So not good. A really ugly night all around for the Devils. I'll say this, guys, hopefully you guys take solace in the fact that we have a fun stream coming up tomorrow with Jay Pandolfo and Big Mike, Mikhail Yegorov, because there's nothing else really to look forward to in this team right now. It's just things are very doom and gloom. A couple other notes too. Just top of my head, I'm very curious to see how this how this blue line looks just whenever Pesci gets back, because there are players in his absence, Luke, to name one, obviously I think he's the most glaring one, that have just looked awful since he's gone down. Just looked awful. So is it, are they going to see that bump the same way some of these, offensive players, some of these forwards see a bump whenever Jack comes back? I don't know, but right now this is a team that's really, really missing Brett Pesci. Let's go to the comments, guys, without further ado, because this is just a mess right now, and I'm sure you guys have a lot to say. We start here with our friend Tyler Seba, who turned the game off after the third goal. Until Fitz makes a move, you cannot call this team a contender. What an embarrassment. Tyler, I'm with you there. Look, as I said, the Devils are now in the wild card spot. They got to make a move and fast, because this was a team that was gutting out wins. I know they won 8 in a row, and they were fine at points. They were really good at points this year. There were times where I was like, okay, my prediction of the Devils are going to make the Stanley Cup is looking great. And then the Jack Hughes injury happens, and it just, completely shows you a lot of the warts on this team. Shows you a lot of the warts on this team, and you're seeing that in a big way. Fitzgerald has to make a move. I could not agree more there, Tyler. Steve KS says, same here, Tyler. It has become unwatchable. Devils are not a fun watch anymore. They really aren't. I thought the road trip was bad, but dot 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 dot. Who is this Fitz you speak of? Sarcasm, of course. I'd like to see Fitz a move or face the music a little bit. Maybe have a press conference, hold a press conference or something like that. I think that Fitz has a lot of questions to answer right now, namely about the Markstrom deal. Although I didn't think Markstrom was terrible tonight. I really didn't. I can pull up the nerd numbers here if you guys are interested. How's this little share screen feature? I'm so technologically sound. Share screen. Let's see. Markstrom tonight minus. All right. I don't think this is updated. Oop. Let's move down. Let's keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Markstrom tonight had. Sorry. Of course I'm freaking this up. Minus 0.86. Shout out Jack Hughes. Above expected tonight. So not the worst. Definitely not the worst. So let me just get this crap out of the way. Not the worst performance from Markstrom. I didn't think he was the issue at all tonight. But just to show you that. But again, like the tangent I'm going on right now is that Fitzgerald has a lot to answer for. Namely on the trade stuff, namely on the Markstrom deal, which I think he rushed a little bit. But the team looks bad right now. No doubt about that. Zach Chin, and I know they're injured. There's a lot of injuries right now. Little doubt about that. Injuries to important players, but come on, at some point, you got to build a team that can sustain that a little bit. Zach Chin, I've never seen a team so lifeless. We need help. There's been more lifeless teams there, Zach. I do agree the Devils need help, though. Tyler Seba, contending GMs don't sit and wait for the deadline. Look no further than the team that you played tonight. Well, I guess they got Rantanen. Did they get him at the deadline last year? But again, this is a player that was traded twice. Carolina is a team that acquired him too. You're right. Contending GMs do not wait for the deadline. Go strike a deal, Fitzgerald. Honestly, at this point, even if you have to overpay, because this team, I'm not going to say lifeless. I don't think they're quite there yet, but I think they need some help. They need some help in a bad way. Steve KS said, sure would be nice to see a winning streak again. And then Tyler Seba says, forget a winning streak. How about a win? A convincing win, not an OT or shootout. Yeah, that's been a big trend for the Devils lately. A lot of overtime games, a lot of shootouts that they've been getting in. So that's I mean, there's not many positive signs. Not many positive signs right now for this Devils team. Beyond the fact that they have 16 wins, the fact that they have 4 wins without Jack Hughes in the lineup. Again, mentioned off the top, but they're 4-6-0 without Jack right now. Probably a little better than I expected, but again, as I've said a million times already in the stream, you need help. The Devils need help right now in the worst way. Go get that center. Go get that 2C that can double as a 3C, a 3C that can double as a 2C, rather. Is that Nazem Kadri? I don't know. Is that Ryan O'Reilly? Maybe. Go overpay for him if you have to. Honestly, at this point, who cares? Rick Roma, Fitz ain't that guy. He built a mediocre team, even with the healthy Jack, which is rare. Does anyone think this is a cup contender? I mean, I still do. I think that Jack changes a lot of the dynamic here. I think there's things that the Devils need to clean up. Little doubt about that. I think even the front office recognized that, even going into the season. Right now, though, it's looking things are looking dire. But I think we forget that this team still can survive with when Jack Hughes is in the lineup. We knew that some of these results. I mean, look, this is a team that was getting into a lot of these rock fights, even with Jack in the lineup. We knew that some of these results were going to go the other way. They weren't this 8-game winning streak, which was awesome, was not going to last forever. But things are ugly right now. I will not deny that. Rick Roma, a soft injury-prone team. Well done, Fitz. It's now time for some fresh eyes to take a shot. Fire Fitz. Rick Roma's firing Fitz already. I don't think I'm there. But look, I mentioned it off the top. The same problems that crept into this team years ago are still persisting. They're still persisting. That bottom six is a mess. That fourth line is a total mess. I think my man Daniel Lamoya sent tonight, it's an obvious stat, but something you don't think about until you really look it up. Stefan Nason has 3 points in his last 21 games. 3 points in 21 games. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. And he's getting paid a good amount too. Unacceptable. And look at our friend Max. Max says unacceptable effort. He uses the same he uses the same terminology. Let's move on. We're now at the point where we were live. Are we live? Are we live? Guys, make sure to like and subscribe if you can. And please, 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 like and subscribe. No, please join us for Big Mike's interview tomorrow. It's going to be fun. We're going to be at Boston University doing it. I've heard his I haven't met him, but I've heard his personality is amazing. So I can't wait to do that tomorrow. 10:15 a.m. right after Big Mike's class schedule wraps up. That's Mikhail Yegorov, potentially the future. I'm going to say this: the future of the Devils goalie situation, the future of the Devils net. Max Pedanov looked so flat and slow against a team on a back-to-back. Yeah, and Dallas did not early on, especially offensively. I thought this was going to be this team built around their offense, really good, solid roster all around. There's a reason. Their GM gets, is a 3-time consecutive GM of the Year award winner. But yeah, no, again, that's a Dallas team on a back-to-back and did not look all that impressive, quite frankly, early on, especially. That's a team you could have beaten tonight. That's a team you could have beaten tonight for sure. And you got an even bigger test next time against the Vegas Golden Knights. So I wouldn't say bigger test, maybe, but a big test nonetheless. Rick Roma says, we need more Lamakos. What exactly does he do? Fire Fitz. Man, people are turning on Fitz. I mean, we'll do a poll. Can I even do a poll here? I guess I got to unlock that feature somehow. What do you guys think? I mean, is Fitz on the hot seat to all of you? Is Fitz on the hot seat to all of you? I don't know if this is a popular opinion amongst Devils fans right now. Let's start a poll. Should Fitz be on the hot seat? We're starting that poll. We just started that poll. If you guys can see that, let me know. I don't know. For some reason, my YouTube... Oh, no, I paused it. That's why. Dummy. Actually, we just started that poll. DM Mick ELR says... why am I blanking on that? DMMCELR says, at what point does Fitz go on the hot seat? He has done absolutely nothing since Jack went down, and this team has glaring holes. It's still early in the season. And again, I wouldn't necessarily declare him on the hot seat quite yet. If we get to the playoffs and this team doesn't advance past the first round, that's when I think you can start talking about it. I really do. Or if he kind of stands pat and can't get a big push the chips in type move done, that's when I think you can start having a serious conversation about that. Let's see what happens. Jabba the Hutt. Oh, thank you for joining us, Jabba the Hutt. Let's trade our entire future for Quinn when this team is barely even a playoff team. Jabba, I'm sorry, man. I think that we underestimate how much Quinn could fix things here. I really do, especially with Jack's back. Oh man, and Pesci. Oh man, that would be a great top pair. Quinn is underrated. Is severely underrated defensively too. Zach Chin, which team has the best third jersey and why? Good question, Zach. You always have the best freaking questions. I'm gonna look this up. NHL third jerseys. I love Colorado's. The Nordiques one, but there's nothing better. Let me just pull this up right here. Do they even still wear these? Let me see. Hold on, bear with me, everybody. Does Vancouver still wear these bad boys? Because I love these. I love these so much. We're on a third jersey rabbit hole. I love these too. Oh man, those are really good. I'm a big fan of these. I'm a big fan of Columbus's. I'm a big fan. Oh, wait, I just saw this. Wait, where is that? Okay. This is the most badass jersey of all time. I want this so bad. Somebody send a super chat in so that I can buy this jersey. Please, please, please. um, moving on. Okay, Zach already asked that. Max Peninoff says, looked like the Devils forgot how to offense tonight. I'll tell you one thing. If you don't stand in front of a 6-6 goaltender, it will be an easy night for them and a rough night for us. Great point there, Max. Devils could not get inside. There was no even attempt to get a dirty goal there. And even when there was, Dallas blocked a crap ton of shots tonight. Yeah, 24 blocked shots for the Stars to Devils 9. To the Devils 9. That's not good. Devils had a lot of Devils had a lot of giveaways too. Devils had a lot of hits tonight. But the block shots definitely were a major factor there. Devils down under. Damien says that's 3 home L's in a row with the Golden Knights up next. My urge to panic is rising. Luckily for you, Damien, we are one day closer to Jack Hughes getting healthier. That's just fact. We are one day closer to Brett Pesce getting healthier. That's just a fact. I don't know when exactly those two guys will come back, but they can't come back soon enough. They can't come back soon enough. That's for damn sure. Max Peninoff, if Fitz does something, it better not be Quinn right now. That makes us worse. I'd love to know the logic behind that, Max. Tell me that, what you think about that. Stanley says, honestly hoping the slide continues to the point that the season is lost and they miss the playoffs. You have to imagine that ownership will finally have had enough and send Fitzgerald packing. Wow. Strong statement from Stanley there. I honestly, like, I know that there are, at times where Devils fans are on the fire Fitz train. I didn't realize it was this. Holy crap. Okay. Results of the poll so far. Can I pin this? Or no, it is pinned in the comment section, right? I didn't mean to press yes. I didn't mean to vote on that. Anyways, should Fitz be on the hot seat? 96% say yes, and that's based off 27 votes. So, guys, please get your votes in. Very curious to hear your responses there. This is that's very shocking to me. But this comment too, especially, is very shocking. I think it's time we need to see Fitzgerald in a press conference setting. I think that he needs to answer for a lot of things. I've said that already on this stream. I think that, and I certainly, again, I mentioned this last stream. I've put in my requests. All of them have gone denied so far, but, we turn on. Stanley, again, awful front office to be in this position with the draft fortune the Devils have had. It's just inexcusable. Yeah, and a lot of missed draft picks, a lot of whiffs on those draft picks along the way. Stillman being at the top of that list. Alex Holtz, much as it pains me to say, he was a whiff too. Yeah, I guess the Devils will see him on Friday. Daniel Hughes just says, what the heck is Fitz doing? And I think that's the sentiment of the poll tonight too, apparently. Steve KS finds a silver lining here. At least Nate Bastian didn't score a goal. As we mentioned for weeks now, the Devils lead the league since in the salary cap era. The Devils have had the most players who used to play for their team score on them. So you're fortunate that Nate Bastian didn't get a goal to pad that even more. Miles Wood got one last game. I thought we'd even see maybe a Severson one too. Rick Roma says they'll miss the playoffs or get spanked in the first round and use injuries as an excuse. It's getting old. At least in my coverage, I will not let them use. Who am I to say? I don't have any personnel say in the Devils at anything. They don't care. It doesn't matter what I say. But in my coverage, it will reflect as injuries are no freaking excuse this time. There is no excuse for injuries. I know Jack Hughes is out, whatever. Your roster construction-wise, your team should not crumble this much. I know he's a superstar. I know he's a transcendent superstar at that. It should not crumble this much whenever he's out of the lineup because things look really dire now. And there's a lot of negative trends that things could even get worse. Max Petinoff, when Jack watches this going on, he must be itching and furious that he's out again. I can confirm that Jack is definitely itching to get back out there. One of the most competitive players in the league, I would say. So, yes, for sure. Stanley says, Ryan, you've at least been a bright spot for this family. Thank you so much for that, Stanley. I appreciate you asking the tougher questions in the scrums. Accountability is what's lacking in the organization. I appreciate that, Stanley. Yeah, look, it's an interesting job. It's oftentimes it can be a little bit of an awkward, weird job because it's like, let's face it, like the Devils don't have a lot of media coverage. They don't have a lot of media coverage, and so when you're in there and it's like these small groups of people, it's myself, it's James Nichols, it's Daniel Amoya, it's Christy Flannery, and then the rest are people that work for the team. It's a tough position to be in because you almost have to be the a-hole sometimes. You don't want to be the a-hole, but it's just one of those things that comes with the territory. Tech Heart says, I'm on Fire Fitz train. The roster comp is miserable. How did he choose to sign two players who shouldn't even be in the NHL, let alone as center depth? I guess you're talking about Glendening and I guess you're talking about Lamico because Cody Glass is good. I don't disagree. The Glendening thing was it was a PTO, so like he kind of like flailed into that. Honestly, at this point, at the beginning of the stream, I was kind of poking fun at Devils fans for being like, "Oh yeah, get Kevin Rooney back here on waivers." You should have picked Kevin Rooney up on waivers. Why the hell did you not? Why not? He's better than what you got out there right now on the fourth line. I'll tell you that much. Sue Nathan says Fitzgerald isn't an in-season GM. I don't expect to see anything out of him. He said on record, that he does not like building teams in season. That's definitely something that he's talked about many times before. But right now, you got to act. Rick Roma says, in what world is Luke Hughes worth $9 million? Again, Luke has not been good. He's a player that I think will benefit from having the Olympic break at some point, if there even is an Olympic break. I think that's been another headline grabber of late. He's not been worth the $9 million per year billing so far. Let's just face it. It's very early. We're a small percentage into this contract, and I think that he will end up being worth it because I think that he's a Hughes, and I think it'll just work out. But right now, it's not good. Small Box Big Game says, what a name, says we are terrible right now. Right now, it doesn't look good. What I will say is that the Devils at least are, they did bank a lot of points, which is good. They're still in the wild card, which is fine. But you're slipping. For sure. Rick Roma, Fitz gets away with so many bad moves. Imagine if he was a GM of a Canadian team. Nobody in NYNJ seems to care enough to call him out. Hopefully I'm doing that in somewhat of a way. I think that there's a lot of moves that I think Fitzgerald made that are questionable. Starting with, of course, the goaltending move, the Markstrom extension that he just made, that he just handed out. We talked about. I led the show with this. The bottom six has been it's a disaster. It's a disaster. It still is. Mostly that fourth line, but fix things. Fix it. Shouldn't be that hard. Especially with like those depth guys. Go poach some of these guys from these. I know they're on rebuilding teams for a reason. Whatever. There's some valuable players on some of these teams. T. Eckhart says, does Luke have a slap shot in his game? Seems like every D-to-D pass he receives, he has to settle it, do a spin, and take 3 strides before wrist shot to the center of mass to someone who isn't the goalie. Good point. Yeah, I don't think that. I think overall this offseason, that's the main thing that Luke needs to work on is his shot. I think there's no velocity to it. There's very little aim to it, and the slap shot thing, yeah, I don't think that's in his arsenal at all. Small box, big game. This team is being handcuffed by bad contracts. Timo, Markstrom, Palat. I'd agree with the latter two. I think Timo's going to be fine, and I think Timo's been good this season. So I wouldn't really put a lot of blame on him right now. Beachmaster Schneider called out Markey on first goal, coming way out of crease. I think Corey Schneider is awesome on the broadcast. I think he is awesome on the broadcast. And like, He even just has so many funny quips. Like you saw him on the episode where I interviewed him on here. Um, like he was describing a Jamie Benn play, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, there's that old man strength." It was just like, he's just a regular dude that you're talking hockey with. I love it. Tyler Seba. Timo's contract is the least of our worries right now. Yeah, exactly. Timo's been great. Timo's been great. I mean, look, I would say overall, like, has he lived up to the contract? No. Um, but right now, I don't think. I think Timo Meyer should be the last person that we complain about right now. Stanley says, imagine having no center depth and need for a top six winger for years, and then rushing to sign a goaltender that may be damaged goods. Tom Fitzgerald, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, a lot of these moves are aging terribly. Top six wing is like I don't even know who you go poach at this point. I think worry about the center depth first, just because I think that'll be a little bit more doable early on this season, and then at the deadline, go get that luxury item in a top six wing. In an ideal world, I thought at the beginning of the season, I was like, okay, great, perfect. You trade Dougie Hamilton for the top six wing, but I don't think Dougie Hamilton's been all that great this year, so his trade value is so. Yeah, not great, not great. My buddy Goody says, "Hey Ryan, longtime caller, first time listener. Reverse that. It's last season all over again with a bottom six that just isn't worth the money. Fitzgerald has to go if we fall out of a playoff spot. I don't think it would come that early. I don't think Fitzgerald would even be on the hot seat at that point. But if they miss the playoffs, for sure. I mean, if the Devils miss the playoffs, I think Fitzgerald should be fired. You don't even use the injuries as an excuse at that point. That's just inexcusable. Look, the worst part about all this, the most sobering part about all this, is you're wasting another year. Everyone lauds the Devils for the good value contracts that they have on some of these superstars, and yet we're what, fourth year into Jack Hughes' extension? I think, yeah, fourth year into Jack Hughes' extension, and another year into Nico Hischier and Jesper Bratt's prime. And you have a second round playoff appearance to show for it, and that was in their first little breakout year too. Come on. Desert Hawk 42, who's ready for Fitz to do nothing as usual and say we need to make great trades by getting players back healthy? That is a classic Tom Fitzgerald quote. He always says that. I remember he said that directly to me a couple years ago. Ryan H says, Devils are a revolving injury door. We need a trade before Christmas. Yeah. Yep. They sure do. I just don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. Here's my wonder. I wonder if that Olympics is good. If the Olympics is going to serve as like a baby, soft timeline, soft trade deadline. I don't know. I wonder how teams across the league view that. Let me see. Let me mention, or sorry, let's finalize this poll. End poll. Okay, the poll finished with 97% yes, 3% no on 36 votes. That's stark. That's stark. I know it's a small sample size, but right now, and I look, it's probably unfair, maybe better to ask that on like a Monday, like where they don't have a game or something like that, but just get a good pulse of the fan base. That's interesting. That's interesting to see the fans going against Tom Fitzgerald like that. I still am a somewhat believer in it. I think in him, although I think he just needs to prove a lot of people wrong right now by striking out a deal and not getting swindled or anything like that. Like look. We mentioned it before. Dallas and Carolina, those are two aggressive GMs there that are not afraid to add star power to their lineup. Don't be afraid to add star power to your lineup. Don't be afraid to shore up this bottom six. Don't be afraid to shore up that center depth. You can do it. These are doable moves right now. The latter two maybe more so than the first one, but come on. There are better options out there. There might be better options in Utica. What's Brian Howland up to? I thought he was fine when he was up here. Guys, that'll do it. Thank you so much for tuning in to us here on Speaking of the Devils. Reminder, tomorrow, 10:15, Big Mike. We're interviewing Mikhail Yegorov at Boston University. And then a couple hours later, we're going to be interviewing Jay Pandolfo. So come, I'm going to answer your question. You can ask the goalie of the future your questions live here on the show. Please come do that. We're going to have a great time. Until then, guys, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.